Welcome back to Fort Awesome. My name is Alex and I'm glad you're here with me. I don't know how long I've been here in Fort Awesome. It feels like the date might be something like April 74th. I don't know. I hope you guys are still out there looking for bears on your bear hunts. If you haven't seen any bears recently, here's what our bear was doing this morning. We had to make our bear useful. Now it's time for What's in the Bin? What do you guys think is in my bin today? Let's find out. It is... ooh, something very precious. Almost like treasure. It is a toilet roll. So we're going to make today a craft using a toilet roll, but not the whole toilet roll, just the inside, like the core of a toilet roll. So to get rid of the outside, that's what we need. Just the inside part of the toilet roll. With our toilet roll, we're going to be making a fish kite. I think it's called in Japanese a koi no boiri. Okay guys, today we're going to make a koi kite. There's a few supplies you're going to need to put this together, and I've got here what I'm going to use. So the first thing is of course a toilet roll. We're going to use. I'm going to be using maybe a mixture of glue and sellotape. I'm not sure what I'm going to use yet, we'll see as we go. Having them handy will be good. We're going to need some scissors to cut things out. I've got here some fishing line to tie it up and a little pin that will help me make a hole in the toilet roll. Now, koi is a Japanese word for like a goldfish. So for that reason, I'm going to use some gold and yellow sort of papers to make my goldfish, to make my koi kite. If you don't have coloured paper, you can of course colour in white paper, or you could use pictures from a magazine or a newspaper. That all work really well. So my goldfish is going to be a mixture of these colours. And I've also got, just to make the eyes at the end, some white paper and some black paper. But again, if you don't have black paper or white paper, use a magazine. If you have white paper only, you can always colour it. You can draw an eye on the white paper and we'll see how we go. So let's get underway. So the first thing I'm going to do is, with my coloured bits of paper, and again use magazine or whatever you want to use, I'm going to make some strips along the width of the page. So I'm going to cut all three different colours out at the same time. But if you don't have good scissors, you might find that it's a bit tricky to do. So here we go. And you only want these to be about a centimetre wide. Now I'm not sure how many strips I'm going to need, so I'm going to cut out about 5 or so strips of each colour. Now you don't have to make the cuts perfectly straight, what's mine aren't. Alright, now these bits, which look a bit squarish now, we're going to use next to make the scales of our fish. Okay, put them aside for the moment. So now we're going to attach these long strips of paper to the body of our fish. Put the scissors away for the moment. Now they could go in different ways. You could attach them to the outside of your fish body, totally fine. I have thought of putting them coming out from in the middle, like that, which I quite like the idea of, so I'm going to try that. And I think I might use a glue stick to glue it in the end here. And there's different ways you could do this. No one way is going to be right. I'm just going to put the end of one of the strips on the glue stick and stick it in the middle, inside the body of like that. Yep, that one seems pretty stuck. Okay, so it's going to try and sort of vary the colours as I go around. Have them all about the same length, but I don't have to be too precise. Yellow one. Okay, so that's my third one going in. You see I'm not doing them hard up against each other, there's a little gap between them, but I think we've got that little flap around. Yep, they're stuck, they're going to stay in there, so I think glue's going to work well for this. orangey one. There's no real order to it. Again, whatever colours you've got at home, use them. Fish come in lots of variety of colours. Yeah, like I said before, if you don't have coloured paper, you can cut up a magazine. As long as your mum and dad says they don't need to read it anymore. You can use those magazine papers. You could just draw on some paper and use the coloured things you've drawn. They'll look really cool too. I'm just going to keep on doing this, and I'll race through this and we'll cut back when I've got that all done. So that's all done. I'm going to put the lid back on my glue stick, like I always tell you guys to do, once they dry out. I ended up with 9 bits of paper coming out to be the tail of my fish. You might have 12, you might have 7, depends on how big the strips are and how wide apart you put them. Whatever you do is going to look awesome. Okay, so the next thing is, I'm going to get rid of these extra strips. I made more than I needed, but that's always good to have a few extras, have a few spares, put them aside. So now I'm going to make some scales to go on the fish body. And to do that with our coloured paper, or again using magazine pages or coloured paper that you've drawn on, white paper that you've drawn on. I'm going to cut out some circles from these and then cut the circles in half. I'll show you what I mean. So you want the circles to be pretty big size. Again, if you don't do a perfect circle, it doesn't matter. I might have you to draw a circle first. I'm just going to try and guess. So there we go, there's my first one, and again, because I did all 3 colours at the same time, I've got 3 different colours. They're not perfect circles, that's fine. And what I'm going to do, just to show you, is we'll cut these in half, like that. Got a half circle shape now. And I'm going to stick these on around the body and make the scales for our fish. Okay, just going to cut a few more circles, cut them in half, and then we'll do some more gluing. If you weren't sure, this is going to be the head of the fish, and that's the tail with those coming out. Now, with the way I think fish scales grow, they sort of go with that rounded bit going out towards the tail. I'm going to sort of glue these so they sort of overlap down the end like that. So I'll glue one. I'm going to put a line of glue along one edge, like that, and glue it down, something out there like that. Again, I'm going to use different colours. If you're using a magazine page or some paper that you're drawn on, it's going to look cool no matter what you have. Overlap this to make a row of scales around here. Down very well. Orangey one. And going to get one more on here, another orange colour. So that's like the first row of scales near the tail. See, they're just wrapped around the end like that. I've got 4 scales around there, which is looking pretty good at the moment. So then I'm going to do another row of scales. So we do the same idea. It's going to glue like the flat edge and stick it on here so it overlaps the other one a little bit, like that. Yellow one this time. I'm going to keep going around, making our fish scales cover the body. Now, just to show you, you could use glue, just to show you that you could use sellotape if that's what you've got at home. I'm going to put some tape on it there and glue that down. Okay, and the tape will hold it there as well. When we get more scales on, the scales will cover that tape anyway. Okay, so we're going to keep on going, adding some more scales to the body, and we'll come back to this really soon. Now I'm nearing the end of putting the scales on the fish. I've got maybe one more row to put on. I'm going to put on that last row so it sort of comes up right to the end or the head of our fish. So it's going to look like that right to the end. Now I have found, as I've been doing this, my toilet roll brand doesn't like the glue for some reason. So that's got my scales on there now. Make sure I've got it all glued down pretty well. Now I was trying to cover the toilet roll the entire way around. I've done a pretty good job. But you see I've got one bit there. You can still see the brown toilet roll. But that's okay, it's going to put an eye over there. And so we won't see that brown toilet roll when I'm finishing anyway. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. I'm going to put the lid back on the glue stick for the moment. Get some of my mess out of the way. And the next thing I'm going to do now is make the eyes for our fish. Because I do have the white and black paper, I'm going to use these two colours. Of course, it could be different colours you've got. And again, if you don't have any coloured paper, you only got white paper, you can draw on it, draw some eyes on the white paper, or cut something up from a magazine. You might find a picture with some eyes on it you could use even. The easiest way that I know to make things about the same size is fold it, piece of paper in half. Now if I cut things out of this, I'm going to get two things the same. So I'm going to try now and cut out two eyes for my fish. And mine are going to be sort of circles. Don't have to be exact. These are my two circles there. And you see that if I go to glue that, that's big enough to cover that little bit of the brown toilet roll that was left behind. Okay. Now fish eyes, like our eyes, they've got the black pupil in the middle. So I could either draw it on my white circle there. Again, if I could use something from a magazine, that'll be cool. But I'm going to again cut two little circles in my black paper. So not exactly circles, but those are good enough. And I'm going to glue these onto the whites of the eyes to make eyes for my fish. So there we go. There's my fish. Got the eyes attached. Big mouth at the front. Okay, so I finished with the glue stick. That can go away. And I want this to be something that will hang up and blow in the wind. That's what these are for, these koi kites. So that's what our fishing line is for. And just to help me make a hole in the toilet roll, I'm going to use this little pin to make the hole. I'm going to make two holes at the top and the bottom near the front end, near the mouth. Make one hole from the pin down through the toilet roll. Again, you'll see that that's going to stick out in the middle there. So when you're doing this, don't put your fingers underneath where the pin is going through. So I'll show you on the other side. When I go on the bottom, I'm going to put put my fingers on either side and poke between my fingers. Again, if you're not sure doing this, get mum or dad to do that for you. Okay, so there we go, I've got my 2 holes. I'm going to tie some fishing line through here. Cut some off. Nice long piece for the moment. If you think that your holes aren't quite big enough, put your pin back in and just give a little wiggle and make the hole bigger. You can see I've got string going through the 2 holes there, so just holding it up. And I know it's pretty hard to see on camera, but it's this fishing line. You might have some other string. Any string will work really good for this. And going to now tie a knot. And I know that you guys really struggle with knots. It's something you guys could work on and learn while you're in your lockdown. It's how to tie a knot. Okay, so I've got a few knots tied in there. And because it's made of paper, it won't like the rain. But I want to put it with something that will blow in the wind. So I'm going to hang this up in my garage out of the rain. So there we go, guys. There's my koinoboiri, or Japanese flying cart kite. And I'm going to hang it up in Fort Awesome. But remember, if you don't have any coloured paper, you can colour in on white paper or cut up a magazine and use it to make a really cool fish as well. Now, show of hands, who here had breakfast this morning? Now, you probably had breakfast in your house, but what is the strangest place you've ever had breakfast? Now, I was trying to make a list of the strangest places I've ever had breakfast, and here's a few places that I've had breakfast that's not at my house. The normal places might be something like you've had breakfast at your table, maybe in the lounge, on the couch. You might even have had breakfast in bed. But some of the strangest places I've had breakfast might be on a plane. I've had breakfast on a boat, on a beach. I've had breakfast on a train. Also, what is the strangest thing you've ever had for breakfast? Also, I was wondering, what is the strangest thing you've ever had for breakfast? Now, when I normally have breakfast, I'll have toast with honey or jam. Sometimes I'll have cereal, maybe even porridge. But what is the strangest thing you've ever eaten? The strangest thing I think that I've ever eaten was when we were in Vietnam and we had a soup with quail's eggs in it. Very strange, very different to what I normally eat, but very nice. So I thought I'd show you what I had for breakfast this morning. So to do that, let's go to the kitchen. It's just through here. So we've been talking about what you guys might have for breakfast, and I thought today I would show you what I'm having for breakfast. I'm going to have some baked beans, breakfast of champions. Get these opened up, trusty can opener, and I'm going to tip this into a good microwave safe jug. To straight this from the bottom out. So it's got glad wrap on top. It's going to go into the microwave for 2 minutes. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now it can be pretty hot when you get it out of there, so careful. Now I'm not going to eat these out of the jug because it's pretty hot out of here. Just going to transfer some, and so there we go. A delightful red, you might say. Oh, smells very tomatoey. So this story takes place after Easter. And it's one of my favourite stories of where Jesus just meets and spends time with people. You can find this in your Bibles in John chapter 21. So after Easter, the disciples had already seen Jesus and spent some time with him. But they didn't know what was going to come next. So while they were waiting, they went up to where a lot of them came from, a town called Capernaum by the Sea of Galilee. And they sat there and waited. I guess while they were there by the sea, it felt a bit like a lockdown. And one of the guys I really like and identify in the Bible, Peter, probably started to get a bit bored. I'm bored. Oh, I know what we'll do. Let's go fishing. So Peter decided to go fishing. Of course, that's what his job was before he met Jesus. Some of the other disciples were also feeling a bit bored. So they decided they would go out fishing with Peter as well. Now, some of the other disciples, like Peter's brother Andrew and James and John, they loved fishing. Fishing was what they used to do before they all met Jesus. Some of the other disciples who went with them weren't fishermen, but they were just bored being shut down where they were. It was night time and they were out in the boat on the Sea of Galilee fishing. When people went fishing back in these Bible stories, they didn't use a fishing line like we might. They would instead use a net. But their net was probably quite a bit bigger than my one. The disciples spent all night putting their net down on the right side of the boat. But they didn't catch anything. Put the net down on the left side of the boat. But they didn't catch anything. Some of the disciples who were fishermen thought, this is boring. But Peter thought, this is great. Still nothing. Let's keep going. It's not even midnight yet. And they tried and tried and tried, but there was no fish. I think that at some stage during the night, some of the disciples probably fell asleep and had a little nap on the boat. But I think the guys who were fishermen kept fishing all night. Eventually, the sun came up. And after many hours of trying, having nothing in their net, they decided it was time to go back to shore. As they rowed back nearer the beach, they could see someone standing on the shoreline. But the sun wasn't quite fully up yet, and they couldn't see who it was. The person on the beach called out, have you guys caught anything? And they said, nah, our nets are empty, we've tried all night. The figure on the beach said, put your nets down again, try again. And so they did. They put their nets down one more time. And when they tried to lift the net back up to the boat, it was so full of Pokemon? No, it was full of fish. Now all the disciples, especially the guys who used to fish, were amazed at how many fish they caught. So the sun kept getting a bit higher in the sky, putting a bit more light across the scene. And when John looked back to the beach, he recognized who was standing there. It was Jesus. And John said, it's Jesus. Now when Peter heard that, it is Jesus. And he jumped overboard and he swam back to the beach, leaving all the other guys to bring the boat back, towing the net of fish. Who do you think would have been faster to get back to the beach? Would it have been Peter swimming back on his own? Or would it have been all the other guys rowing the boat but dragging the net behind them? Now when they all got back to the beach, Peter would have been soaked from swimming back. There would have been water dripping off his clothes. Thankfully, Jesus had started a small fire on the beach, and he said to his friends, bring some of those fish over, let's have breakfast. And they did. They brought the fish over to Jesus and they had grilled fish for breakfast on the beach. Now, I've had breakfast on the beach before, but I don't think I've ever had fish for breakfast. It's not really what I do. I think you guys will remember that the last time that Jesus and his friends, the disciples, sat down together to have a meal is what we now call the Last Supper, and that happened before Easter. At that meal, Peter said that he loved Jesus and he would never leave Jesus and he would die for Jesus. But you know what happened? When the soldiers came to arrest Jesus, all the disciples, even Peter, ran away. Peter did follow those soldiers from a distance to see where they took Jesus. So Peter saw where they took Jesus. Now, Peter wasn't feeling very brave at all. He was quite scared. He watched the soldiers take Jesus away and he followed carefully behind them, trying not to be seen by the soldiers. When Jesus was in there, Peter was outside. And when he was outside, Peter was recognized by some people. And they asked him, don't you know Jesus? No, I don't know Jesus. You're a friend of Jesus. Jesus who? Hey, I was seen you hanging out with Jesus. No, leave me alone. I don't know this Jesus guy. I think that now on the beach there, Peter was remembering that night and feeling really embarrassed. I'm really embarrassed. After they had finished eating, Jesus turned to Peter and said to him, Peter, do you love me? Then feed my lambs. Again, Jesus asked Peter, Peter, do you love me? Then feed my sheep. For the third time, Jesus asked Peter, do you love me, Peter? And so Jesus said, take care of my lambs. Now, I don't think that Jesus was telling Peter it was time to change jobs, to stop being a fisherman and to start being a shepherd. But one of the names we have for Jesus is the Good Shepherd. And I'm sure he wanted to know that his flock, his sheep, his lambs, us, was going to be looked after. And so he trusted that job of looking after his sheep, his lambs, his flock to Peter. So the disciples decided to count how many fish they had caught in that net. I think especially the fishermen were quite keen to find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 98, 99, 100, 101, 149, 150, 151, 152, 153 fish. Wow, that's a record. So that is why we made today our koinobori, or Japanese flying carp kite. And I hope when you guys look at your flying carp kite, you'll think of the story. Remember a time that Jesus made sure that all his flock was going to be cared for. So it's time to pray. And I think we should pray especially for term 2 back at school. It's going to be a bit different from normal. Let's pray. Jesus, I just want to thank you for the story in the Bible about you meeting Peter and the disciples on the beach and having breakfast together. Thank you that you cared enough for Peter, that you forgave him. Thank you that you forgive us as well. And just like you gave Peter a job to look after your sheep and your lambs, help us also look after each other. Amen. Okay guys, now remember, there's 3 things you need to do now. First one is be kind. Second one is be safe. The third one is go wash your hands. See ya! Is that Capernaum?